line upgrade and the tree trimming policies, and I know Amy set up this meeting, so I want to thank everybody for coming. So Amy, if you'd like to make a couple words and introduce Mike, and we'll start the meeting. This is an open session, right? We can, is this questions or just a presentation?
Absolutely open session. So this is meant for dialogue and for everybody that wants to chime in. So Mike, do you want me to use the microphone? Yes? Okay. So just to give the council members and the audience who doesn't know the background on what's going on here, this originally started for us anyway in late September when we were notified of an egregious tree trimming issue up on West 3rd Street near Ellen, and then a couple other homeowners who had crews come to their house also wanting to trim their trees pretty egregiously. We met with the homeowners, and Ron Kapowitz had decided to say, hey, let's halt this tree trimming for right now, and let's have National Grid meet with us so we can understand what it is going on, and we can understand the project that they're doing. So we met with National Grid, and when I say we, it was the mayor, Ron Kapowitz, Councilman Van Buren, myself, Commissioner Smith, and then we had 3 representatives from National Grid. We had Wally Dengos and Brian Skinner and Jim Maloney, who's here tonight, to talk to us about the planned line upgrades and the tree trimming process. We also had the tree stewards and tree advisory board and several members. And we had a good discussion about what was planned and what was intended. And we learned at that point in time that there was a pretty substantial line upgrade that was going to happen throughout the community, and that they were planning to also do a 5-year tree trimming effort at that same time as well. So in their line upgrades, I'll have Jim discuss that in much more detail in just a moment. He's much better at speaking about it than I am. And we've got a couple of maps here also that talk about where the line upgrades will be and what those will be. In the past couple of months, Jim's been really great about working with us and meeting with us several times now. He's met with us and Bob Johnson, one of our engineers, and then Mike Smith and Jeff Hamill as well. We've reviewed legal documents. I've met with Gay several times to review what those legal documents are and review our franchise agreements and their agreements with the Public Service Commission that gives them the rights to use the right-of-way to distribute power and trim their trees. I've also consulted with the foresters for the city of Ithaca and Syracuse to review what we can do and what our options are and what they do in their communities to work with the power companies and to work with their tree canopy as well. A couple of the things that they recommend are having an open dialogue and good communication with the utility company, and that's first and foremost, and I think Jim has been offering that at this point. So we've raised our hand and said that we want to be treated a little differently, and so they are treating us differently, which is great. So I think that's a good benefit so far. The foresters also recommend doing, basically it's called driving the lines and looking at where the line upgrades are going to occur, what trees are going to get impacted, and then negotiating tree by tree, how that tree is going to get pruned and if it should come down or not. National Grid will take trees down that do need to come down at their expense. And those cities also require permits for tree trimming and removal of city trees. I think that's a great thing that we should institute in the city of Oswego. We could do a blanket permit for utility companies, but to keep on track of our tree inventory that we just had done this past year, I think that would be a great way to make sure that we're updating it effectively. So two more things is that in the City of Oswego Code, we have two chapters. One chapter relates to utility poles specifically, and that's Chapter 245, and it requests permission of the Common Council for the utility company to erect poles and string wires. Just like many other sections of our code, perhaps this one needs to get looked at and see if it should get updated to reflect our current thinking. And then also we have Chapter 240, which is on trees, which talks about the intention of the chapter is to protect and expand the urban tree canopy in order that the City of Oswego enjoy the benefits of a robust tree canopy. So, so we have a couple of things already in our city code that relate to utility companies and trees. And I think that we just need to work together to make sure that as we move forward in the future, that our working relationship is positive and the effects of what our utility companies do out in the community is appropriate for us. So I'll turn this over to Jim, and he will explain the line upgrades and the tree trimming.
Can everybody hear me without a microphone? I can usually carry a room with about 300 people without.
Mike, do you want?
Is it still on? No, but I like walking around. Utility arborists need to keep moving, so it's hard to shoot at us. So, I guess where we're starting off is we had two projects going on this year for the city. One was a routine maintenance that we do every 5 years, and the other one was a rebuild on the west side. Originally, we had scheduled to do the routine maintenance in the spring of this year. We sent out letters to our customers in the affected areas, which is mostly the west side and a little bit on the east side, south end. And when we found out about this capital rebuild project going on, we decided we were going to hold off on the routine trimming, so to put it at the same time that the capital rebuild project came into play. Reason being is we would come through, do routine trimming in the spring, then you'd see us again on the west side doing more trimming. So instead of impacting the customer twice, we're going to do it once. So, do you have the one with both maps on there? Okay. Set that. This map depicts. This one depicts the feeders that we're routine trimming for this year. There's both of them are Palomas on this side. There's a Wine Creek on the other. Your city is split by two substations. One's the Paloma, the other one's a Wine Creek. Within the next year, we'll have everything trimmed in the city. Next year, this section through here will get done also. So in pretty much one calendar, one rolling year, we'll have everything done in the city and won't see us again except for incremental work for another 5 years. What we're looking at doing, is everybody up to speed on the substation when the project manager came a year or so ago? Should I go through that as well? Okay. First off, the caveat, I'm an arborist with a company. I'm not a line engineer, I'm not an electrical engineer, but I will speak to some of the stuff. But our Paloma substation is down on Paloma Street, and it only had one transformer on it, and we fed 5 feeders off of it. So our feeders on the Paloma substation run from here almost all the way down to Fairdale, but into a bit of Fulton. So there's a lot of customers on one single transformer. If we lose the transformer, we lose everybody. There's only one other feed that comes through on this line here that we can tie it to the New Haven feeder, and it's only a 13,000 volt feed. It's not a high voltage feed. So we noticed we had an island here. So we went to upgrade the substation. We put in 2 transformers, upgraded it from 4,800 to 13,000 volts, so you get more electricity in there. With the 2 transformers, we're able to split off and make 3 feeders in the west side of Oswego. And then the rural parts of the original feeders were put on another transformer, and they remained as 2. So originally where we had 5, we now have 6. So To do that, what we ended up doing was taking the 2 feeders that were on this side through the city, and we split them right up the middle and made a third one in the center. That's where we came up through West 3rd Street, went past Mr. Wood's trees, and that's that short section of rebuild that brought us to where we are today. If you can see it as well, that's that pink area in through there. So pretty much for a small amount of rebuild on a 3-phase and a lot of switching, we were able to make 3 feeders where there were originally only 2. So, from that, we had some concerns over it. We originally started in the project in September. We sent out our contract arborists. They started knocking on doors, talked with customers, the ones that we could. We brought our tree crews in and started to work. Some customers had some concerns. They brought them to us and we stopped the work. Those concerns came to the city of Oswego and we started our dialogue from there. It's been pretty productive since then. I know it's on National Grid's part to communicate beforehand more so than we did on this one. We deal with multiple municipalities throughout our service territory. Mine itself is 16 counties, so we do a lot of talking to customers. But pretty much it's because we know you're there. It's like Horton heard a who. We're a big company and you hear that little voice, and that's when you need to stop and start talking with the people in the community. So that brings us here tonight. Pretty much that's in a nutshell. Do you have any questions I could answer? Thoughts, concerns?
What's the difference between a tree that on the customer's own personal property, it needs to be trimmed, versus one that's on the city property?
Excellent question, because we ran into that, and we run into it frequently. If it's in a public right-of-way and we have a franchise in that municipality, or we have rights to be within that right-of-way, we communicate with the municipality that holds those rights, and we can go ahead and prune or remove as needed. If the tree is actually back on private property, we have to talk to the customer who owns that tree.
What rights does the customer have?
If it's private and we don't have rights, they have the right to tell us no.
Well, it's not my tree. I don't live on where the issue is.
Okay. Do you have trees specifically you'd like us to take a look at with you?
No, actually,
Okay.
I know there is.
No. Yes, Larry and I
I
have.
was a lineman for 35 years.
Oh,
Just curious what
yes. If it's within the, yeah, that's the rules. If it's within the public right of way, if we have a franchise with a municipality, or we're signed on to the rights, say like with the county, we have the rights to do our work. If it moves into being private, then we have to have conversations as we did with Mr. Woods. Yes, sir.
I know a lot of concerns in my ward. I'm the council of the first ward, and we have, as throughout the whole city, but there's some beautiful majestic trees that have been there for hundreds of years. And the one thing that we don't want to see is them turning into a carrot top. And it just kind of ruins the whole aesthetics of the beautiful old homes there. People are, putting forth a new effort now to renew the looks of the homes, and the trees are just all part of that picture. And what we don't want to see is all of a sudden, they come through and just wipe that out. And so, how do you deal when you come into an historic neighborhood? How do you deal with that? I mean, that's a big issue in our world.
Okay. Honest enough answer. We've dealt with this in other municipalities, and most of the older trees don't need a lot of work. Most of them is looking at them for structural work, finding out if there's decayed limbs or branches in there that need to be removed, or if the tree is structurally deficient, where we would talk with the DPW commissioner about its eventual removal. Most of the trees have hardened off. The older trees have hardened off. So it's pretty much just restoring the clearances we had once before. The big issue we had on West Street was we were going from either no facilities or lower voltage facilities to higher voltage. Every pole we replace now has to be at least 45 foot. so we have proper clearances between the communication cables. So that most of the poles in this are running 35, 40 foot tall. Now we're going to 45s. So that's going to remove overhang. It was pretty evident on the silver maple that is over on West First Street. So on those, we'll be talking with powers that be in the city and explaining to them why we're doing it and what we need to do and how to address those. But as far as routine maintenance, for the older trees, we shouldn't have much to do except remove the growth that has come back on since last time I was there.
What voltage is it stepping up to now?
13,200 volts. Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's 2400s that we have in some places throughout the city. Goes up to 4800. Like I said, I'm not the lineman. I'm sure you could speak to it better as to which we have bopping around through here.
One already is then 15 foot.
Yes. Yep. And it's been knocked down to match up with what was here originally. Yep. Yes. Smart grid? It's just increasing the voltage to get into it. Yes, it's an antique way and a new way of putting together. The configuration is the same as what you're getting, but it's just a higher voltage and a better design for it. Yes, sir. It's standardization across our territory, at least for upstate New York. We're looking at getting all our distribution voltages to 13.2. And secondly, it's demand. Summer demand off the Paloma station is at 100%, has been for the last 2 years. And there is no way to backfeed it. There's no way to get additional electricity into it. So when we're peaking out, we're looking at increase the capacity of that substation so we can meet our customers' demands. Yes, sir. Yep.
And those big holes that everybody's going through these trees, I mean, that's where they feel to some extent. And I think there has to be, I would ask that, and that national project of sorts needs to take place as well. And it's just like when you've been in a haircut and everyone can tell, but, as time goes by, it's a lot less dramatic as far as what you're looking at. I think there's certainly some work I think that we can all do in educating the public about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and ultimately what the impact's going to be. Personally, I want to save the trees if we can, and if there's other options, for the alternate routes that some of these lines can take in order to minimize the impact. I expect that's the discussion that you're having now, namely as far as where these things are and what it's all.
Okay. And I'll add on to that both myself and my counterparts do hundreds of hours of outreach to our communities. I don't keep pace with Brian Skinner. He's about 3 times as much as I do, but we're about 1,000 hours a year in customer outreach or community outreach on that end. I see you have your Tree City USA. We're a Tree Line USA company, so we run by the same standards as you guys do. There's our opportunities for us to step away from the standards. If we're going to taller poles and we're moving the secondary up higher also, then that moves our trim limits up higher. But it also pulls us away from whether we're doing a standard pruning, something that's good for the tree or not, where we can leave more greenery on the bottom. But that's something to discuss on a tree-by-tree basis based on aesthetics and need of the customer.
Pests that are ultimately going to definitely kill the trees in the city unless we take other actions. There are other opportunities here as well. But I think it's important, the city ultimately is something that treat those trees will take some of those down. And I think it's the power line and how you plot course to where they're going, or certainly I would assume criminal act is probably taken down. Someday it's going to come down. I think those are just decisions that can be made that best for the city and people are in the bill and that sort of trees are in consideration.
Yes, any of the municipalities we work with, you're referring to EAB, Emerald Ash Borer, any of the municipalities we work with that are aware of EAB and want to be proactive on getting their trees out, that we are working with them. It's, we're not, we don't have all the facilities for moving wood, so we work with the local DPW, so we put them down, chip the brush, you guys clean up the wood and the stumps, and we get them both done that way. Yep. Yes, sir. Okay.
Of course, it's not with respect to the service and states that we have.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to say we talk about trees like they are just soft things, aesthetic things. It's easier to what matters is how much we look at any of these questions is how much is important. But, Wall Street Journal 2015 study was 6,000 for transactions in the United States. Talking about property value, in fact, 60 associated about $7,000, average of $7,000 increase in property value.
Mm-hmm.
Which strengthens Brooklyn Bridge tax.
Yep.
And a city that like prosper and allows whatever it's not, does not value its assets or its funds, allows it to go. The question is not, should there be power on the standard? I mean, the question is, the sensitivity of care and professionalism and the lack of this country. In our neighborhood, for example, I don't have to put the we have seen, we came down, there's a whole block that was probably spent, let's say, got about $60,000 for someone there to include the program. Came home one day from work, and literally half of the trees were going to shade from the trunk to the trunk. It will literally happen. And I find it hard to believe that that was truly necessary. In my experience, other countries, oftentimes the degree of supervision seems to limit which is happening. That's my concern. And as for notification, I don't believe we did receive that. Or if it was an effective notification system, then it should not have been a surprise to virtually every neighbor. If neighbors are surprised, the notification system is ineffective.
Okay.
So I want to make those points. Those trees matter to real estate values and matter to all of the citizens. The fairness of the trees that is a big part of what we do.
Okay. I got 3 points off of that. First one was the notification. There should be twofold. One's a letter we send out. That's part of our responsibilities with the Public Service Commission. And if your entire neighborhood was missed, I'd like your address so we can run it backwards to see if it doesn't come out. Because it's the same mailing system that sends out your bill, sends out the letter. So that's also done by a contractor, but that's how we can check to make sure they're sending it out.
But even if those
So.
the neighborhood is something happens to us. You may be doing things the way the system is designed. But if people are surprised in the numbers that were assumptions was, regardless of whether or not they're following the procedure.
Okay. My second statement on the notification, we now use a notification person with the contractor that goes door to door with a log on every household they talk to as they go through. So that just started up with this year. So that's another one. I'd like to know your address so we can back check with theirs to see if they're actually doing their job. Okay. Lastly, was your first statement about Ithaca and about the assets on there. Well, about trees being an asset. Ithaca is, I would say, well, at least the municipalities I know of, is on the cutting edge as far as trees being an asset. They have it down as far as, let's say a car smashes into a tree and they lose the value of that tree. They actually file a claim with that car insurance, or the insurance company for that car, and recoup the asset back. When Andy Hillman was over there, they're actually funding their tree program based upon just that, tree damage. So trees are an asset to your community. So good points, but before I leave tonight, I'd like your address so I can check your area to make sure it is actually functioning. So, okay. Okay. Right Tree, Right Place is, it's actually a website, but it's also a statement of finding the right tree for the right place. And that's just from infrastructure, whether gas mains or water, or curbing or sidewalks. It's also looking at soil types. You wouldn't want to put a chicken pen oak in a soil that wasn't high in alkaline, high alkaline soil. It's finding the right tree for the right place. If you want to find the website for it, you can Google just that. It'll go right through, tell you exactly how to get started on that program. If you guys are at Tree City USA, I'm sure you guys already know about it. They're with Relief, so they're one of the hallmarks of Right Tree, Right Place. So, yes, sir.
I think when we could come up with the trees and how aggressive it is to be trimmed back, when there was an issue, I think, I don't know if I think a planner could have been brought in right away to, there's many different configurations you can put on top of the pole. And you put a nailing arm up, you
Yep.
can use tree wire, then you have left to go and I don't know if those are really best. Instead of just putting your basic cross arm up the way they always do it, trim 10 feet from the end of the arm.
Yep.
If you can put everything on a nailing arm, you stay 4 foot from it. If you put space cable on the end of the arm, you stay 100 feet. So I think just to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, period. I think that's the one attitude.
Follow on that, the great thing to take the line out over the street and down. Is there a way to do that? So we could put
Call it a nailing arm, yeah.
Okay, so put the pole on public space, but instead of the line running along the public space off the curb off the street, you put it into the
Instead of centering the cross arm, you put the whole arm up on one side. So now the wires can be run up there.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
So, yeah.
And all the wires that run are all bare wires. And they have 3 wires. They have heavily insulated wires. Right on Fifth Street.
Yep.
Like that?
Is there a difference cost between the dimensional cross arm and that?
No, it's the same exact arm. It's just, there's a brace for it, but no cross.
So,
Brace for the cross arm.
yeah. Depending upon how the cross arm is installed also, whether there needs to be a back guide to it and so forth. So
Well, in
there's
this case, if you're putting the cross arm on the roadside, you have to put a guy across the road.
yes, depending upon how it gets set up. And so, yes. And alignment and so forth, as we worked with the poles in front of Larry's house, we'll end up with a modified cross arm, or I should say a modified alley arm, because of the alignment of the poles, and we have a riser pole that we're starting with. So, depending upon what structure's there, you can actually play with what designs. Sometimes you're limited just by what's there. So,
How about this, do they run 3 wire down there?
they run tree wire.
Long Island one time.
Yeah.
You don't put trees down there. Is that
Not at all. You ever see the maps in Long Island? They spent 22 days down there, and they run their overhead as if it's a network, an underground network. It's all switching. So they have just as many tree outages, if not more, and it's all the switching they use to keep their outage to a minimum. So tree wire It's not actually tree wire, it just has a weather coating on it. It still can be taken out by trees as soon as it wears through.
The wires closer together.
Yep. But it's also not insulating. Our biggest bang for our buck, and this is, we're talking needs, like our needs and your needs. Our needs is to keep, hopefully you can still hear me when I pull my hands away, I talk with my hands. So as you're going through and you're building an electric distribution system, it's by kilovolt by foot. So if you have 13,000 kilovolts and it's 6 foot apart from each other, that works out to be 2 kilovolts per foot. And our target is stay below 1.5 kilovolts per foot. It's our own design, and there's 11 other utilities that have tried it, have found that if you get less than 1.5 kilovolts per foot on the spacing, it's hard for electricity to take itself out. If it's greater than 3 kilovolts per foot spacing, that means you really jam it together, put it on 13,000 volts on 6 foot cross arms, it's almost instantaneous, the outage. So the farther you keep it apart, and we're going into way wild stuff, but it has to do with how wood won't conduct electricity. It's carbon that conducts it. So as the electricity runs through the wood, it changes the carbon and allows enough voltage to go across that carbon track. That's what caused the outage. So if you get it long enough, you can't push enough amps through that wood to burn it to carbon, so it makes a completed track. So that's why we like to see at least 6 foot, if not 8 foot cross arms. It's harder for it to for trees to take us out. Any other thoughts, concerns? Millions of dollars, and it has to be supported by the consumers who are benefited by it. Mhm. Great. But where we already exist, to bury those lines, we'd be digging up the root systems to put the lines in. Yep. There also, and Mike, you could speak to that, there is a stack underground as far as what utilities go on what, which one goes in the hole first, which one's on the bottom compared to which one's on top. That would require restructuring through there. It runs about $1 million a mile for the 3-phase just to put it underground. That's not the homeowners making their connections. And our tariffs allow us to turn those costs back to the customers that are benefiting from burying the underground. Change the tariffs? We could have a beer and chips over that, buddy. Because I live here too. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? You're short of words? Sure. Before I turn it over to Phil, we're here, and we know you guys are here. I'm not going away. You guys aren't going away. It was a bit of a blow up, but from here, this is where we start talking to each other. We start learning each other's needs, finding out where your sensitive areas are, and understand what you guys want us to produce for you. And you guys will understand what we need to produce for you. So, okay?
What kind of compensation you offer customers? It's free down the property. You offer them anything?
It all depends upon the situation. So, if it's well, eminent domain is a court, and that's a cost associated with that. And if it's a reasonable cost, then there is compensation there. If there's not reasonable, then we'll have to find another way around. Yes, sir.
In some of the older neighborhoods, the city owns tax, even like,
Oh, yeah.
so would that mean that that trees on that portion of the property would belong to the city? So that people wouldn't get notified when something is going to be done? I wonder if that's what happened with trees.
No, it's for the routine maintenance, even though that's, we know the street trees are owned by the city of Oswego, we still send a notification to all the customers, because They're the ones that live behind the trees. So, yeah. The long way around, the person behind him, you basically own it, so, yeah. So, but if there's a whole street that's missing, we'll have maybe 1% to 2% of our bills not reach where they're supposed to go every month. We know that because it's the same system that sends out our bills. So we would expect that off of any feeder to have a small percentage, but not a whole city street. Yes, sir. Centuries? Yeah.
Give us the ability to communicate, cooperate in a way that the old agreement probably doesn't, as long as we're overlooked.
If we're in another gathering, I'd have another way of saying it, but you can put a lot of stuff on paper, but it's actually people that make the difference on it. So I'm here for at least another 15 years unless somebody decides they're not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so you'll get used to seeing me around. So, yes. Yep. Okay. Phil, you've been really quiet.
Jim and I get together quite a lot. We're in the same business on opposite sides. Oswego does value its trees. We use the Cornell model, which says that a mature tree gives back $300 to $500 in direct environmental services per year. The newspaper just gave it a $300 rating. But that means in a 100-year lifespan, a tree is valued by us at least $30,000 in direct environmental services. One of these environmental services is stormwater runoff handling, which this city has an issue with, and we have a consent order with. And so we've had not only the city DPW, but we've had a bunch of our retired folks in the tree stewards planting trees just as fast as we can and as fast as we can afford to do it. I think the reason you're such an easy target, Jim, is that you're the only for-profit corporation that we allow this level of destruction to our city infrastructure. In order for you to conduct your business, you have to take out some of our infrastructure. And you take it out in a very visible, very highly visible way. And I honestly believe that it's not an equal relationship between you and I, between National Grid and the city. The National Grid is granted monopoly powers, in exchange for which we have a Public Service Commission to regulate them. But I know you work very closely with the Public Service Commission, and I mean that just how it sounds. They may not be in your pocket, but from our viewpoint, it seems like you are. It seems like they are. We have to, as tree stewards, we get calls at least every week, sometimes it's daily, from people who are wondering why a tree is coming down. And it could be you taking one down, it could be the DPW, it could be it's coming down by a private contractor like the one on Cayuga call we got today. I guess the best deal we can make is if we can get you, as a good neighbor, to toe the line to our tree ordinance. So if you have to take down a healthy, mature 24-inch tree, you will pay the city for, well, a 24-inch tree would be 12 2-inch trees, 12 2-inch caliper trees. It's about $125 each. It's about $1,500. That would show us that you value our trees and that you're interested in our tree canopy. That would make the relationship a little more equal. It would also help fund our tree planting program. So if we have to lose a mature tree that perhaps had 50 years of life left and still had thereby $15,000 to $20,000 of environmental services to provide for this city, then we could count on National Grid to pay for that tree that they took out. Now, if the tree's otherwise damaged or had to come down because of EAB or something, of course, that's not a measure. But I think that's something the city should try to negotiate. And that'll help our tree planting program, even though we know we're going to have to put up with the loss and the destruction due to National Grid being in the business of selling electricity in this city. And the only other suggestion I have I'm trying to put money back into our tree planting program because our tree planting budget got cut this year. And it's probably going to be tough in years future to get that back up where it should be at 300 or 400 trees a year. I think our budget was 56 trees this year. Maybe we ought to start charging rent for these poles. $100 a pole a year, generate about $1 million a year for the city. And that would really push our tree program along nicely. I don't know what arrangement the city originally made with National Grid or with Niagara Mohawk or whatever company preceded that. But I understand that we tax their infrastructure, but I haven't heard anybody say that there's any rental due to the city to place these thousands and thousands of poles. Maybe that's one way we could recoup our losses. But our losses are real. Every tree that comes down costs this city $30,000 to $50,000 in direct environmental services that we would have to pay for otherwise, like stormwater runoff. But there's about 12 other categories besides stormwater runoff. But I use that one because it's kind of been a hot button word around here for the last couple of years. What do you say to that? Is your management going to throw you right out if you mention the idea that maybe we'd like to get paid for trees you have to take down? I'm sorry? Have you come? Okay. Well, maybe we can count on, you've read the portion of the tree ordinance we have that applies to this. It's an inch-for-inch replacement, which I don't think is excessive and would certainly help our tree planting program if we could count on $1,500 for a mature maple, say. That would plant a lot of trees.
Each of the communities, DPWs or whoever that leads their tree board or whoever their library is, appointed their arborist, look at the trees, make that decision as to whether it's something that needs to come out, or if we have to take it out, and uniform.
I had a little rant prepared about burying your wires, but that's a fight that's going to take a long time. But it grieved me to see after Hurricane Sandy and all the cheap infrastructure. I call that cheap infrastructure. Hanging wires on poles is cheap. Burying it is expensive. But when I saw them going down to repair the damage after Hurricane Sandy, and they were putting those wires right back up on cheap infrastructure, just waiting for the next windstorm to come along. That's only a short-term, that's a very short-term thinking. But I guess I can't expect for-profit corporations to engage in long-term planning. Because burying your wires, you'd have to be looking at savings you'd get 30, 40, 50 years down the road. Oh yeah, but it's just short term. I'm talking about you and me here. I'm using Hurricane Sandy as an example because it just doesn't make sense from the long haul to have it hanging on the cheap infrastructure that we have in the city. So that's the only proposals I have. Somebody else want this mic? Yeah. Remember, I'm a volunteer. Okay. I want to hear you.
Okay, you're fine. I see a lot of creativity out there when they're trimming these trees, like such a U, and the wire goes through. Does that damage the tree at all? Can that still survive?
Sure.
Have you ever seen
A lot of them do.
Is it okay to ask questions or class into the chair?
I think we'd like to keep this positive.
Well, I know
Well, I think he is asking a positive question as to whether it damaged the tree, if you don't mind. Okay.
I have one more thing to say.
Sure.
Question. When National Grid comes through and sets a new pole, replace it,
Yep.
they transfer their wires. What's left is cable TV and phone company.
Yep.
No one comes back to remove that old pole. Before this new work you're doing, there are more places in this city where there's double
The
poles.
double wood.
And that's all National Grid, because Verizon is usually the one that the last utility off used to be.
Yep,
Now
it's still the way. Last one off has to take the pole.
Someone needs to get a hold of Verizon and tell them to get their act together and remove all these poles.
The double wood.
Transfer their wires, Verizon and cable are there, they need to get their job, Verizon needs to pull the pole. It looks terrible when you have two poles.
In our 30 or 60 day requirement on removal, once the service is changed over, the requirement to have the pole removed.
I don't know what the time frame is, but some poles have been.
Yeah, we got one.
I mean, Allen Street has several, Hart Street has several.
Yes, you have a double. Yep. Well, it's like a common law wife. After 20 years, it's yours. But I'll look into it. So I'll have to write that down. Catch me afterwards so I can catch that. So
It gets lost somehow. Our job, I believe, as an in was to remove one of the poles. The
Yep.
poles never got removed.
and it,
So it looks
and the last one off is supposed to remove the pole. Yep.
between Verizon and
Yep.
so somebody needs to contact pole. Get the break on this one.
Yep.
Verizon.
Correct. Is there anything else? Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everybody, for the dialogue. I appreciate it very much. If you have any further questions or comments, please contact me, okay? Thank you.
Huh? Would everyone please take their seats? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public session. We do have a few speakers this evening, so I will call the first one up. Just simply give your name, your address. Is Phil MacArthur here? He did leave. Okay. Miles Becker.
Yes, my name is Miles Becker. I want to thank you, Mayor Tom, and the council for letting me come up here and talk. I'm not going to talk about the agenda tonight. I'm going to just remind you people who have never been to Hawaii that this past Sunday was Pearl Harbor Day. And I've been there. I took an R&R there in 1970 from Vietnam. It is the most humbling position I've ever been in my entire 66 years being on this earth, which is kind of unusual for me, being humble about anything. But that Arizona was one of the toughest sites for me to be at, considering all the people that are still buried below. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up tonight is because I saw a speech by John, what's his last name now? Who's the representative? No, John, the guy he's the U.S. Department of Army. John McHugh, thank you very much. He served, yeah. Him and Jim Wright burned their draft card. Would you like to talk about Jim Wright a little bit over there, Mr. Todd? Yeah. Burned his draft card at the post office in '69. Didn't advocate that war, but he sure advocated the war of Iraq and Afghanistan. And look where we are now with them too. Okay, I am on a roll right now there, Tato. I can't believe that I can sit there in front of the TV and watch McHugh with these troops coming back from the fort, up to the fort from Afghanistan and Iraq. I don't get this at all. I couldn't stand listening to this guy spouting his patriotism. When it came to the NAM, where was he? Where was he? This is part of the grief I've got with that Republican county. The both of them, Wright and McHugh, didn't serve, burned their draft card, but yet they could go to Albany or Washington, D.C. and represent us here. I have a tough time with that. There's one other guy I'm going to throw under the bus here, too, by the way. He's an old friend of the Democrat Party, John Sullivan. You know, there's another buffoon, blowhard, goof that we have sent to be mayor here, okay? And look what he's doing now. He's looking for a job. He's begging. He goes over and compliments Bill Cahill's fish stand over there and tells us to save it. Why, that guy crucified his nephew. I wouldn't talk to that guy again. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Miles. Is there anyone else who would like to say something to the Assembly? Thank you, Miles. Okay, if there's no one that wants to add anything to that, I will adjourn the public session, and the regular meeting will begin at 7:30. Could everyone please take their seats? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Enright. Here. Counselor Myers.
He is excused.
Counselor Todd. Here. Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Barlow.
Here.
Counselor Van Buren.
Here.
Counselor Kaplowitz.
Here.
We have 6 present with 1 excused.
Thank you. Under the mayor's report, a couple of items. This is the last scheduled meeting for this year, 2014. If there is any resolutions that need to be passed before year's end, we will announce that and have a public assembly to discuss that. But as it stands right now, we think we're pretty sure we're through for the year. I am working on the 2015 State of the City, and I will be presenting that in January. It's no secret 2014 was a bit of a challenge for us, for the residents, the city employees, and for our leadership team. But we weathered the storm, and 2015 looks to be better. So I'm confident that we'll improve. I do have a Christmas message because this is the last meeting before Christmas, so I would like to read that. As the year comes to a close, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your continued support and the trust you've given me as mayor. It is an honor and it is a privilege to serve the citizens of Oswego. As a resident of Oswego, Christmas time holds a special place in my heart. I love the windows of the shops downtown, the Christmas wreaths and lights, particularly the ones lining Bridge Street, and the decorations on the homes, churches, and stores all over the city. But most of all, it is the people of Oswego, my neighbors and friends, our employees, our students, longtime residents and new, people I meet on the street every day who only come back to Oswego just for the holidays. These are the people who make Christmas so special. Despite the challenges we face and our occasional differences during the holiday season, we come together to help one another, to worship together, and to give thanks for our many blessings. I can't say often enough how much I appreciate the dedication and commitment of the employees of our city, who strive to provide the best possible service to our residents day in and day out. Please support our local retailers as you go about your holiday shopping. Remember that retail sales tax accounts for the majority of our generated city revenue. Local retailers not only provide essential goods and services, but they also provide jobs. So during the holidays and all year long, please shop Oswego first. And continue to check on your elderly neighbors, relatives, and friends to make sure that they are healthy, safe, and warm this winter. Remember to thank and keep our servicemen and women in your prayers for their sacrifices in service to our country. I wish you and your families a safe and enjoyable holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a joyous New Year. I'm looking forward to a better and more prosperous 2015. So I wish everyone peace and blessings. On the announcements also, we have put the alternate street parking ban into effect. It comes into effect 1 o'clock Tuesday morning. And the first couple of days will be courtesy tickets, so people get used to the system. I guess that's all I have to say. We will be having, in our next regular assembly, we will be having a new counselor, Pat McLaughlin, so I look forward to working with him. And I also hope to have the chance to say a few words of appreciation for outgoing Mike Myers, who's been a great resource and a great friend. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do that. So that's all I have. I want to thank everybody for their support during the year. And it was a tough year, but I appreciate everything you did for us. Do any of the counselors have anything they'd like to say? Any reports? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call Resolution 518?
Resolution 518 would approve the minutes of the Common Council meeting held November 24th, 2014.
Counselor Kaplowitz, Counselor Van Buren. Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Yes. Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 519.
Resolution 519 would approve the use of public space at the request of William Shiner, owner of property located at 29 through 31 East 11th Street, in order to install a two-car parking area.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Van Buren. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 520.
Resolution 520 would approve the use of Wrights Landing Marina on Saturday, March 28, 2015, for the Oswego Polar Plunge hosted by the New York Special Olympics.
Counselor Todd and Counselor Enright. Any discussion? Counselor Todd.
It's the very bottom statement, resolved. It is.
Yes, it is the last sentence.
It has been amended. But if you'd like to,
Glad it says has been found.
Well, Counselor Todd did it. Any other comments? Counselor Enright? Counselor Barlow? There's no more comments, so please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? No. Counselor Todd?
Yes, twice, once for me and Frank.
The vote is 511.
Please call Resolution 521.
Resolution 521 would approve the use of city properties at the request of the Oswego Harbor Festivals Incorporated for Harbor Fest to be held July 23rd through the 26th, 2015.
Counselor Kaplowitz and Counselor Enright. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 522.
Resolution 522 would authorize the mayor to execute a 3-year lease agreement with Oswego Harbor Festivals Incorporated for use of the McRobey Building.
Counselor Enright. Counselor Barlow. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Yes. Counselor Todd? Yes. The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 523.
Resolution 523 would approve a transfer of funds from within the legislative board.
Counselor Kaplowitz. Counselor Walker. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 524.
Resolution 524 would approve transfer of funds from within the Department of Public Works.
Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Enright. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
525.
Resolution 525 would approve a transfer of funds from within the High Dam Hydroelectric Facility account.
Counselor Todd. And Counselor Kaplowitz. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 526.
Resolution 526 would approve a transfer of funds from the contingent account to the police department.
Counselor Van Buren and Counselor Kaplowitz. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 527.
Resolution 527 would approve a transfer of funds from the unallocated insurance to the self-insurance fund.
Counselor Barlow and Counselor Van Buren. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 528.
Resolution 528 would waive the rules of the Common Council to present resolutions number 529 through 534 from the floor without committee consideration.
Counselor Capelowitz. Counselor Van Buren. Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 529.
Resolution 529 is a motion to rescind resolution number 489 dated November 10th, 2014.
Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Barlow. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 530.
Resolution 530 would authorize the mayor to sign amendment number 5 with the professional engineering agreement with GHD Consulting Engineers, LLC, for modifications to the sanitary sewer rehabilitation project.
Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Capelowitz. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 531.
Resolution 531 would approve attendance at the Oswego County Fire Chiefs Association Oswego County Weekend to be held January 30th through February 1st, 2015 in Montour Falls, New York, and the Fire Officer 1 and Fire Officer 2 courses beginning February 3rd, 2015 in Montour Falls, New York, at the request of Jeffrey M. McRoby, Fire Chief.
Counselor Capelowitz. Counselor Van Buren. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 532.
Resolution 532 would approve rental of a temporary standby generator for use by the East Side wastewater treatment plant.
Counselor Capelowitz. Counselor Van Buren. Any discussion? Counselor Capelowitz.
Yes, Your Honor, this was one of, this is a late addition to the agenda. Gary's here, Gary Hallinan here from our wastewater superintendent, and my understanding, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had a generator that went down last Tuesday, and we are required by DEC to have a standby generator at the East Side wastewater treatment facility in the event of power failure, and this action here allows us to get a generator in place so we can stay in compliance with DEC and then look for a longer-term solution, which will ultimately be the generator, but that's another process.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 533.
Resolution 533 would authorize the purchasing agent to seek a proposal from GHD to prepare plans and specifications for a new standby generator for use by the East Side wastewater treatment plant.
Counselor Todd. Counselor Walker. Any discussion? Counselor Capelowitz.
And Your Honor, as mentioned in the last resolution, this is kind of a follow-up to that. We need to work with GHD. Installing the generator, there's lots of different options that are available, and they have to be compatible with the plant. The operation of that plant is certainly long-term, looking at the economics of operating the generator. This is consistent with that previous resolution and getting us back in a position to have our own backup generator.
Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 534.
Resolution 534 would approve a transfer of funds from within the fire department.
Counselor Van Buren and Counselor Enright. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 535.
Resolution 535 is a motion to move to executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Counselor Capelitz, second. Counselor Barlow. Please call the roll.
Counselor Walker? Yes. Counselor Barlow?
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren?
Yes.
Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Counselor Todd? The resolution passes 601.
We will now go into executive session.
7:45. Is it that time or the time to go into?
A motion to come out of executive. Counselor Enright, Counselor Kaplowitz. Show of hands. Unanimous. Call roll.
Call the roll for.
Are you saying? I swear to
We need a motion.
So we had,
We have a motion on the
Yeah.
floor to adjourn the meeting.
yes, okay. Counselor Van Buren, Counselor Enright.
I thought you were.
I don't care, just
Who was it? Enright and
pick
Van-
two names.
Pick two names.
Yeah.
We all have raised.
We all want to get out of here.
All right, Counselor Enright and Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Barlow? Yes. Counselor Van Buren? Yes. Counselor Kaplowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Enright? Yes. Counselor Todd?
Oh,
The motion passes 601.
all right, meeting's adjourned. Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody.
You guys have a very nice Christmas.
Thank you, too.
I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bob, I don't know what I'll do until January.